Welcome back. More and more U.S. lawmakers from both parties are asking the White House to boost military aid to Ukraine, including sending air defense systems. Congress just approving a spending bill that rushed $13.6 billion with a B dollars in U.S. military and humanitarian aid to Ukraine and its neighboring allies. Though the legislation passed with an overwhelming bipartisan majority, 69 House members did vote against it. Joining me right now, Republican Congressman Warren Davidson in Ohio. Thank you so much for being with us. I know you have a lengthy biography. You were a member of the House Finance Committee, as well as a West Point graduate, a member of the House Army Caucus as a former officer. So you might know a lot more about the cost of war than some of us who are watching and talking to you right now. Why did you vote against this measure?
At the most basic level, because it was bundled with the omnibus bill. So I had joined a number of colleagues asking that we get a separate vote on the $13.6 billion that's going to Ukraine. And unfortunately, it was bundled with a large bill that was published at 2 a.m. And the expectation was that members were just going to line up and vote for something that there's no way you could read 2,741 pages before the vote was called. So automatically, just on process alone, I would be a no.
Well, and I'm sure that there is a whole interview we could do about the omnibus bill in its entirety separately. But what do you think should be done instead in terms of helping Ukraine?
If we had a clean $13.6 billion bill, I think we would have enjoyed the debate on it. I think people broadly want to help Ukraine, and we really didn't have good definition about how we were going to help Ukraine and also how we were going to help NATO. Fundamentally, we should not lose sight of the fact that Ukraine is not a member of NATO. And we shouldn't treat them as if they are. They're not a member of the European Union. And there's very specific reasons. There have been a lot of corruption issues in Ukraine. And while there's not a justification for war by Vladimir Putin, his invasion is clearly unjust. And Ukraine has a right to self-defense and self-determination. There are grains of truth. They do have a neo-Nazi Azov battalion. That's not necessarily the whole country or the whole culture, but they're based in Mariupol. And they were used really heavily to counter Russia's population. So, you know, we really shouldn't embrace everything that Ukraine's done, even as we support their self-defense and self-determination. We should strengthen NATO and hold our NATO allies accountable for things that they've done for a generation to fall short of their treaty obligations.
What is your take on sending air defense systems like fighter jets to Ukraine?
Yeah, there's no way to limit this war to just Ukraine. If we start engaging in combat, we're inherently at war. You can't be in war and not in war. I mean, we're right up to the line now in providing support, weapons, and massively using our financial system. So I think, look, we can use our financial system. We should only use it in a very targeted way towards oligarchs who may have influence over Vladimir Putin. And I say may. I mean, Vladimir Putin's not laying awake at night wondering about the next election, but he does need support of his population. And look, we don't want to lose that by crushing the individual Russian citizens with, you know, clumsy, awkward sanctions that are killing people that killing people's businesses and livelihoods that would otherwise be sympathetic to, you know, they've got a Putin problem, not an American problem.
When it comes to the American people, whenever I have anybody on this show, my thought is whether you're Republican or Democrat, speak to the American people, those who are probably questioning where exactly this money is coming from that we're sending to Ukraine, even though most people would say it's a worthy cause.
Yeah, I mean, this is the hazard. We still behave as if we've got massive cash surpluses. The reality is we don't have all the money. I mean, we fall far short of meeting our own financial obligations. We've really fallen short over the past stretch of years for what people will even lend us. I mean, we're essentially adding to the Federal Reserve's balance sheet, the lender of last resort, and that is a big part of driving inflation. In our own case, it was controversial to spend $4 billion securing America's southern border. Meanwhile, with almost no thought or review, here's $13.6 billion. We shouldn't lose sight of, you know, the principles that have made our country great. And, you know, when you think about from the founding, France didn't fight our war for us. They did give us some aid to defeat Great Britain, and we declared our independence. So the Ukrainian people seem to be doing well out there. I wish them well. They do have a right to self-determination and self-defense, but America should stay focused on our interests. And we do have an interest in shoring up NATO. If we're going to keep this war contained, we should be sure that we focus on NATO. And we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that that attack near the border was potentially a legitimate military target if we're supplying weapons. Now, nothing's legitimate when Russia's attacking it because it's an unjust invasion. But clearly, when we send in weapons, it's likely to be targeted.
And add fuel to the potential fire around NATO. Thank you so much, Congressman Warren Davidson from Ohio. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.